Where is she?
I don't know where she is.
Where is Savannah? You don't know because you had something done with her and you weren't involved in that part?
I told you the last time I saw her.
But that's not true because we have proof. And you're not telling the truth. She never got out of your car. Lee, video cameras don't lie.
This is the story of Lee Radartang, a man who found himself in police custody as a prime suspect in the kidnapping and murder of his co-worker Savannah Gold. The detectives knew that one wrong move during the interrogation could mean losing any chance of catching the real killer.
Remember me from the other day? Detective Reeves? Okay. This is my partner.
Lee, however, believed that he was smarter than the detectives, unaware that his overconfidence would be his downfall. On August 2nd, 2017, Savannah's family received text messages claiming that she had run away and quit her job. The messages were filled with errors, causing immediate panic and a report of her disappearance.
I just want to know that my daughter's okay.
The police investigation initially hit dead ends until they received CCTV footage from the Bonefish Grill, where Savannah worked. The video showed her getting into a silver car in the parking lot, which shook violently as the door was opened and closed multiple times. The car then drove away, and Savannah vanished without a trace. During the interviews, it was revealed that the car belonged to Lee Radartang, who was not only a manager at the grill, but also Savannah's boyfriend for a brief period. Suspecting his involvement, Lee was promptly arrested on suspicion of murder and brought into the interrogation room. Unbeknownst to Lee, the police deceived him by claiming it was for a minor traffic warrant. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, someone entered the room. It was time for Lee to face the truth, and for the detectives to reveal the extent of their knowledge. The facade that Lee had maintained was about to crumble, as the interrogation took a dramatic turn. As the detective enters the room, Lee realizes that he's not the same detective who brought him in initially. It's the detective who interviewed him about Savannah just 3 days ago. Any comfort that he had thinking that these events were unrelated is swiftly replaced by pure panic. However, Lee remains determined to stick to his plan and tries to maintain composure as he prepares for the barrage of questions that await him. The detective starts by asking about Lee's connection with Savannah and how long he has known her.
How long have you known her?
Like I said, I've known her obviously since she started working there. I would say probably about 8 months ago, we started hanging out outside of work. And at the time, I had a girlfriend. We kind of connected, me and Savannah. So we hung out a little bit here and there. Got pretty close. We come from, I guess.
However, feeling the pressure, Lee falls into the trap of providing lengthy responses, attempting to demonstrate his knowledge on the subject. This tendency to over-explain is often seen in individuals who feel compelled to cover up something. However, Lee reveals that Savannah eventually became heavily involved with drugs, which caused him to distance himself.
She started using drugs a lot.
Okay.
I kind of just tried to take a step back.
In his response, Lee talks for over 5 minutes, going into specific details about their interactions. In the previous interview, Lee claimed to have not seen Savannah in a while. However, the CCTV footage contradicts his statement, indicating that he may have been lying. Now the pressure intensifies as Lee finds himself caught in a web of contradictions.
It was probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things you said was that was the last time that you had contact with her.
Yes.
As far as, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I mean you correct me.
That was the last time that I texted her.
Yeah, text or a phone call or messenger
Yeah.
or anything like that. 2 to 3 weeks ago. Yeah. When was the last time you saw her?
This is what I was a bit. I didn't tell you the truth when we talked at Bonefish.
Okay.
Last time I saw her was Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
Lee discloses that she had been telling co-workers about their alleged recent encounters and that he decided to confront her about it. They met in the parking lot around 5:30 p.m, although he's unsure on the exact time. Lee continues his explanation, recounting that he approached Savannah in the parking lot and confronted her about the rumors. She requested to sit in the car because she claimed to have used heroin and was feeling paranoid. It's important to note that there is no confirmation of Savannah's drug use, as no one in her life mentioned or suspected it. He claims that he confronted her about spreading rumors that they were still in a relationship, which he believed was jeopardizing for his job. According to Lee, they had agreed to stop talking and move on from their past. He recalls an incident where he punctured one of her car tires to warn her not to continue spreading false information. However, he clarifies that it was a mere warning and nothing more.
She was in the back seat still.
Okay.
And at that point, I said, you know, now leave me alone. She responded. I said, next time it'll be your windows.
Okay.
You know, I'll do what I want. And she got out,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked like she was either texting or calling somebody.
Okay.
Because as she started walking towards there's an entrance to the plaza.
In reality, Savannah never left the car in the parking lot, and they drove away together within minutes of her getting in. Unbeknownst to Lee, his elaborate lies are building a substantial body of evidence against him.
It looked like she was going to put it up to her ear, and then
Yeah.
the green truck came around.
Okay.
She
How long
got
do
in.
you think it was between the time that she got out and started using her phone till that green truck pulled up?
Maybe 5 minutes.
Okay. So wow. So if she called somebody, they got there in 5 minutes to pick her up?
Lee speculates that Savannah got into the truck and they drove off, looping around before exiting in a certain direction. Lee claims that he left at that point. However, unaware of the evidence in the police's possession, Lee is left guessing and forced to create stories on the spot. If Lee were as intelligent as he believes, he would have retained a lawyer and likely found himself in a much better position. Lee acknowledges that the self-inflicted wounds on his body have been troubling him recently.
What happened to your neck?
That was self-inflicted, actually.
Why?
I just have been having kind of a hard time.
To your neck?
I couldn't. Yeah, I did. And
What did you use?
a knife.
However, his explanation for these actions is far from convincing. Noticeably, Lee displays visible anxiety during this discussion, exhibiting subconscious fidgety movements in his limbs. Moving on to the topic of the truck, Lee describes how he saw a vehicle with tinted windows and a person wearing a baseball cap. When questioned about Savannah's connection to the person in the truck, Lee hesitates to respond and expresses regret for not mentioning it earlier. The detectives remind him that he is the last person known to have seen her at Bonefish, sparking his anxiety further. With the pressure mounting, the detectives ask Lee about Savannah's whereabouts. He claims not to know, stating that he hopes she is still alive and that her family deserves closure if she isn't. However, the detectives challenge his statement, suggesting that he has something to do with her disappearance.
Where is she?
I don't know where she is.
Where is Savannah? You don't know because you had something done with her and you weren't involved in that part?
I told you the last time I saw her.
But that's not true because we have proof.
They assert that they have evidence, emphasizing the importance of finding Savannah for her sake. The detective draws a personal connection, mentioning his own daughter and the empathy he feels for Savannah's family. The detective presses Lee, asking where Savannah is right now. Lee claims he doesn't know and emphasizes that finding her is his primary objective. The detective challenges his statement, citing evidence they possess. She emphasizes the importance of finding Savannah and mentions her own daughter, drawing a parallel to the situation. This is where the brilliance of these detectives truly shines. Savannah never got out of your car, Lee. The initially quiet female detective suddenly speaks up, contrasting with the deadpan professional demeanor of the male detective. The emotional vulnerability displayed by the female detective is likely to shock him even more.
She kicked open that door 3 times, Lee. She kicked it. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm just a fact finder.
There was no green truck involved, and that doesn't sit right with her. She reminds Lee that they are fact finders, holding no personal grudge against him. She describes witnessing Savannah repeatedly kicking the door and asserts that this observation is not fabricated, since it could only be known with video evidence which they possess.
I mean, she was upset. She tried to slap me. I slapped her.
The detective clarifies that she isn't trying to deceive or trick Lee. She reiterates that Savannah was upset and attempted to escape while Lee admits to slapping her. She questions why Savannah would still be with him after such an incident, considering they have had arguments before where she didn't care about the consequences. She discusses how people make mistakes, emphasizing that it's what one does afterwards that matters. She highlights the need for closure for Savannah's family, who are now facing the grim reality that she is no longer with them. The conversation takes an unexpected turn with the mention of a squeeze back and a brief interruption.
She was hitting me. She wouldn't stop, and I'd squeeze back.
Days later, a dive team recovered the burned and unrecognizable remains of Savannah Gold.
Where is she now?
Please tell us.
Spawned. No, Clay.
Her cause of death couldn't be determined due to the extensive damage. Lee Rodarte pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 40 years in prison in March 2021. And there you have it, the pivotal moment when a mass killer realizes he's been caught. This chilling journey has taken us through the depth of darkness and the relentless pursuit of justice. As we reflect on these horrifying events, let us remember the bravery of law enforcement, the strength of survivors, and the resilience of communities impacted by such tragedies. Thank you for joining us on this eye-opening exploration. If you found this video informative, please consider subscribing to our channel and sharing it to spark meaningful conversations.